Welcome to the Patriot Barbie Podcast. I'm your host, Lindsey Graham, author and conservative activist. I love Jesus. I love America. I'm a proud wife, mom of 3, and I'm having bold and witty conversations with America's patriots, the ones that cancel culture desperately want to blacklist. Trust me, I've been there. In 2020, I defied government lockdowns in Oregon, reopened my salon, and became an icon of freedom. I've been targeted by government and raging liberals every day since, and I refuse to back down. Patriots, I'm here to tell you, your values are worth fighting for. The Patriot Barbie Podcast starts now. Hey guys, welcome to the Patriot Barbie Podcast. I have a really exciting guest today. The most incredible thing about him is he's pretty stinking famous. He's friends with the Trumps. He's probably the most well-known doctor in America for good reasons. So not Fauci, for bad reasons. He's known as the Miracle MD. His name is Stephen Soloway. He's been recommended to me to come on this podcast over and over and over. And I resisted. I said, I don't want to talk to a doctor. I don't know if I have the right questions. I don't know what to say. It's like I'm out of my element. And the more and more I read up on this guy, the more I was like, okay, you know what? Everyone has been hearing from Fauci for 2 years. And here we've got a real doctor with real credentials who is way more famous, way more well-versed. It looks like he is a million times more talented and smart and educated. Let's talk to a doctor like that. We are going to dig into, as boring to me as it sounds like to talk to a doctor, we're going to dig into everything from where he stands on the vaccines to gender affirmation to what is going on in the medical community. I mean, as a mom, nothing has changed more for me in the last 2 years than my concerns about what's happening to my kids when they go to the doctor. And I mean, call me anti-vax, whatever. I don't really care what the title is. I've started to question what's going in my kids' bodies every time I take them in for their annual wellness check, or they need 9 vaccines, or et cetera, et cetera. And my family has started detoxing. We've started kind of looking at what's in our food and what's in our medications and things like that. And I've gotten to a point where I'm not sold on the medical community anymore. I'm not blindly trusting like I used to. And I think we all know why, because the last 2 years has shown us that even the medical community will lie to its patients if there's money involved, if there's an agenda. And we are not privy to all of that information, but now it's starting to come out. We're seeing that the COVID vaccine doesn't work. We're seeing that it's harming people, that we were lied to. We continue to be lied to about it. So I'm excited to talk to a doctor that's not Dr. Fauci, that has a very real and probably more legitimate opinion and medical opinion on all of these things. So just let me give you a quick background. Dr. Stephen Soloway, he has dedicated his life to helping patients and colleagues for decades. He has patients that visit him from 6 different countries. That's pretty fantastic. He's earned the top doctor award every year since 2003. So what, 17, 18 years? This is how long his bio is. It's insane. It's pages long. So I highlighted because he's that prestigious. He's now recognized as one of the top physicians in his field nationally by Philadelphia Magazine, Castle Connolly, and U.S. News and World Report. This guy knows his stuff. He's coming out with a book called Bad Medicine. It's going to expose the horrors of American healthcare. And before you read it, we can just kind of dive into all that stuff today. So welcome to the show, Dr. Soloway.
Thank you for having me.
What do you think about that intro? I skipped about 20 paragraphs of your bio there.
Well, they were fluff. There was nothing to say, trust me. But it was a great intro, and I can't thank you enough. I will. My first book was called Bad Medicine. The next one is called Medical Politics.
Oh, see, that's what I get for skipping through the paragraphs.
So
and
no. So we're between books now. The next book is coming out in late October, early November, with book signings in Trump Tower in New York and another one in the Miami Beach. So October 27th, Thursday night, there'll be a book signing for the Medical Politics book at Trump Tower, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. and the Satay Miami Beach.
Get a flight out there.
or if you like to do Miami, there'll be Satai November 5th.
Okay, so cool, so exciting. Okay, so
Dr. Fauci won't be there. He's not on the invite
good.
list.
I don't want that dude shedding anywhere near me.
I agree.
Is he like in the superhero movie of what the US is right now? Is he your kryptonite and your Superman? Is he just the devil?
Yes, and I can elaborate. I trained in rheumatology in Philadelphia. He trained originally in Philadelphia. The professors that trained me knew him, and when he was invited in to give lectures, he couldn't answer any questions. So nothing's changed.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, now he answers questions, but they are lies when he does answer them. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
it seems that's what happens in politics. I heard
Yeah.
that I heard if he retires, he's going to get double like the president's salary, and how he's the highest paid government official. He must have something good on somebody.
That's what I think. And of course, he's picked the perfect time to retire because he's already done all the damage he can do. The tables have started to turn. People are turning on him. The truth is coming out. And he's like, I'm going to get out while the getting's good and while the money's there. That's a shame.
Yeah, that does seem to be an issue. But
So, what's your
you
take
can't
on?
trust the guy.
Yeah, what's your medical opinion? What's your medical professional opinion on the last 2 years? Everything, like from the beginning of COVID to the vaccine.
The last 2 to 3 years have been a complete disaster. You know, I wrote on Facebook in I think it was February of 2020 that we should expect 1.5 million deaths in the United States based on 0.5% of the population being attacked by China by a virus. And I think that the smartest way that we could have handled it was to not pass out napkins and tissues to put on our face, but some sort of a high-grade military mask. You don't see any soldiers being deployed with tissues and N95s. And for the record, an N95 means it takes out 95% of particles that are 3 microns or larger. The viron for the COVID or the Wuhan virus or the China virus, which I've been sanctioned for saying, that virus is 0.9 microns. So it's going to be tough to keep out 0.9 when the filter is 3 and it only keeps out 95% of the 3. So it's inherently faulted. Again, you're not going to see anybody out in the battlefield who's going to be exposed to anthrax or chemicals or COVID wearing an N95. You're going to be seeing them in military gear. I imagine the government didn't have a good system like they have under the Capitol or under the Congress, where they have military gear for everybody in case of an attack, but they don't have enough for the general public. And when these hospitals floated into New York and Los Angeles, maybe they should have dispensed millions of these things and gotten them to everybody, and then this thing could have died on the vine, blown back to China, even if we had to build a nuclear fan and or a laser guided fan to put all this back there, because they were smart enough to shut their own borders, but they didn't tell anybody, don't come here. I think this was an experiment to weed out the Hong Kong protesters, and I do think that the whole concept got out of control. I don't think they purposely attacked the United States yet, but I do think they wanted to do a trial and error to see if we can clear the crowd and get rid of the people that are disposable people over there, because they're not listening to the communist government. So what do you do with those people? You get rid of them. So a virus looks like a clean way, and then because it looks clean, when the world media looks at them, they're going to say, look, there was a virus and they were probably planning to cure it, or maybe the elite already had a vaccine. So look, we had a virus and 2,000 people died, but we squelched the whole thing, and we look like good guys. We had a virus and we fixed it, but it got out of control. But the planes kept going, people got it in here, and it circulated, whatever, how many millions of people have been infected and died and so on. So I think, locking us down was also horrible. I mean, the only thing
Mhm.
more horrible than our lockdown was the Chinese lockdown in Shanghai, where the people were welded in their apartments and have the doors nailed shut, and people died from starvation. I mean, they
Yep.
imprisoned the whole city, basically.
Right. So your theory, just want to make sure I'm following. Your theory is that China did well, we know that China manufactured the virus, but the goal was to keep it in China and just test out who was ignoring the government there, but it just leaked
So,
into it
first
kind
of
of.
all, one, I agree it was manufactured in China. Not
Mhm.
found, but manufactured. Two, I think it was made with military purpose. Three, I think that on a test run, they wanted to do it in Hong Kong to use it so that the media wouldn't see tanks rolling over people like they did in Tiananmen Square. So they figured, okay, we'll infect the air, and then when the people that we want die, we'll cure the virus. So, but I
Oh,
do
wow.
think that, the Chinese officials have said the next war is going to be fought with lasers, chemicals, biologics. Well, this was their test run. We tested
Mhm.
our stuff in the Alamo, and 50, Center 51, whatever, wherever they blew up the Manhattan Project bomb, Trinity Project. That was our spot. It was hidden. Their spot's not so hidden for this kind of stuff.
Right. But you say, so number three, you say they were testing their citizens to see who would obey and who wouldn't. They got rid of who they wanted, and then they're going to cure it. But the vaccine is not the cure. Are you referring to something else? Because now we know the vaccine is just, I mean,
No,
it
I
actually
was thinking
helps you get
originally,
COVID.
I thought that the people that are important to them were somehow pre-protected or isolated or
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
The
Interesting.
goal is never for the communists to kill their leaders, but
Right.
the goal is that anyone who's not a leader is a disposable person.
It's susceptible. Very interesting.
Look at how many people they report have COVID in China. None. Because they're all put in a death camp or something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear of a death rate of 1 million people in China.
Because they just take care of them.
Well, yeah, they die of murder, or they die of starvation,
Right.
or they die of poisoning, or they die of, anything. They die of anything except the virus.
So we had, obviously, we had COVID in America, but pandemically speaking, it was not a pandemic. It's not the numbers that equate to a true pandemic. So, what do we say Americans did to survive that? Like me, for example, I never masked up, I never shut down, I just kept living life normal. To this day, I've never tested positive for COVID. I have no idea if have had it or not. How did we survive in such mass if this virus came over from China and we didn't really know anything about it and we weren't protected?
So
Do you have a theory on that?
I do, but I will remind you that there are a million dead people in this country from the virus. So I say that the fortitude of the young healthy person to get natural immunity, is very strong, and that's not a secret, not to the U.S. government, not to Dr. Fauci, not to anybody.
Mhm.
Um, I think that the I don't think the vaccine is a total waste. I do think it works. I do think that there are people that should be selected for it and other people that probably shouldn't. Now, I think it is insane to have children go to school wearing a mask, even if they're in
Mm.
college. It's insane. You're not going to be any healthier than 24 or younger. So, nobody from age kindergarten or nursery school to college should be, quote, masking up. This is
Right.
insanity. There's no social interaction, so now there's depression. You're not
Right.
allowed to go to a class, you have to do it virtually. So, again, it's uh, more depression, less social interaction. People are becoming, whether it's introverted, depressed, using drugs, using alcohol. The ramifications are so bad that I don't think the financial situation of printing that $5 trillion, we're not going to get out of that for 15 years at least. So if
Right.
people think the economy is going to survive, Well, maybe it'll survive, but it's going to crash big time over the next few years because how do you print money? How do you run up the stock market and not expect for everything to fall down because you just printed it's not worth anything? No
No,
different
no,
than
there's
Nazi
no way
Germany.
they're thinking this through.
It's
So
not
when you
possible.
say there's 1 million dead from the virus, I want to just ask you, I really want to get into it. Some of us, I don't watch the news. And so a lot of what, you know what I'm going to ask?
I, we had a patient at the local hospital who drove his car into a telephone pole and died. So we know he died of a car accident, but he tested positive for COVID, so they listed him as a COVID death for financial reasons. Yes, that
Thank
happens.
you.
It happens a lot. I've
Okay.
seen it. It happens. So you
I
may be
love that you
right.
already knew I was going to ask this question.
Yeah. I see these special glasses,
Yeah,
on
they
the
see
Adam
right through.
Sandler movie. Well, on the Adam Sandler movie, he puts on the sunglasses and you can't see him because he's a nervous kid, that little kid he plays with, the one that pees on the wall, Big
Yeah, yeah,
Daddy.
yeah, yeah. Big
Okay,
Daddy.
well, these glasses have aquamarine and they have a neon holder because my normal glasses are broken. I can see what you're thinking.
Oh my gosh.
Dr.
This is
Fauci needs
incredible.
these
You're even
glasses.
more impressive than I expected. I'm so glad I had you on.
I'm so glad to be here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we know that that happened.
Oh,
It just
absolutely.
didn't happen as much as we think, or when it happened, it
No,
became a big deal to all of us conspiracy
I
theorists.
think it happened a lot. I think it happened a lot. Whether it happened 100,000, 500,000, or 50,000, if I saw it once on one day, then everyone else saw it once on one day. Of course,
Right.
you are you're right. An end of story. You're right.
So when we agree that 1 million died from the virus, we can agree that we don't actually know that they died from the
We
virus.
don't
They died
actually
with
know.
the virus.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Ooh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
And
I
by
was
the
getting
way,
nervous that
no, a lot of people at the beginning died of bad care.
mm,
They'd go in with the virus, they'd get placed on a ventilator.
thank
Everybody in medicine knows that if you're on a ventilator for a week, you have to have the tube taken out and you need a tracheostomy because if the tube stays in for too long, you can't survive. It'll rot away and it'll ruin your trachea. So
Oh my gosh.
many people died from that. Even if they were put on the ventilator for COVID, their management of their care was pitiful.
How would medical professionals not know this? Just that one thing that you said, that the tube needs to come out after a week. How would they not know this? Is this negligence, or is it malpractice? Is it stupidity? Is it intentional?
All four plus, they're dictated by administration,
Who wants the COVID money?
which is government overreach, which is
Hmm.
money, yeah. But the four things
So,
that you said are all true, every one of them.
yeah,
Plus number five is the government overreach and the money. And
wow,
frankly, I think they were lazy.
yeah.
Nobody would
Well, and
treat a normal person like that. Nobody. Never seen it happen in
no,
35 years.
and I think any doctor or nurse that was instructed to do something that they believed was against typical protocol was probably threatened, told to keep quiet and shut up because it fed into the hysteria. And I've said this forever, as a completely non-educated, not a medical professional, but you watch movies your whole life, right? And in every single movie, when there's a pandemic or an emergency, the government says, let's make sure this doesn't get out in the press. We don't want hysteria. But in real life, when COVID came along, they couldn't wait to tell us that in January of 2020, the first case of COVID has come over into the US. They couldn't wait to create the hysteria. I thought that's kind of interesting because in movies it makes sense. You don't want people in a panic. You don't want
So
your country in hysterics. They start
so
acting irrationally and buying toilet paper.
I'll throw
So,
that question right back to you. Is that
okay.
stupidity? Is that ignorance? Is that blatant neglect for society? Is that government overreach? All the above, and what else? It's terrible.
Yeah. So, is there anything that was handled correctly during, quote, the pandemic medically? I have to say
Yeah.
quote, because as you and I sit here and dissect this and agree that people died with COVID or of COVID, or was it really a pandemic? And as a person who lived their life completely normal and ignored every single possible mandate and did not die, according to the government, I should have, and so it should my entire family. It's real hard for me to say pandemic.
I'll
But
tell you a
anyway,
story.
because you
Tell you a
chuckled.
story. 6 months ago, a guy walks into this office to be seen as a patient and to follow state rules. Of course, we have posted on the door, you need a mask, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we follow all the rules. None of those rules were actually a law, but a guy saw me with my mask down, maybe in the hallway between patients, whatever. He immediately went to the authorities, and the next day, 2 guys with badges showed up to investigate me.
Oh, jeez.
So this is
This
how
is in,
bad New Jersey, a liberal state, New
yeah,
Jersey,
okay.
California, these are the states this stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've had no outbreaks or deaths or COVID issues ever in our practice. So I'll tell you something interesting. The other thing, when March of 2020 came and this pandemic or this virus or this mistake or this, we all wore at the beginning, for lack of any knowledge, we wore a mask, a gown, and a glove. At that time, we all got COVID.
That's interesting. Well,
How
I have my
hypocritical is
own,
that?
again, non-medical theory. I'd like to hear your theory on this. That by staying home, isolating, sanitizing everything to death, washing your hands nonstop, masking up, suppressing your breathing, not going to the gym, not getting any sun, you harmed your own immune system. That
Hmm.
was intentionally done to lower your immune system. That's not a healthy lifestyle in any way, shape, or form. So, would you agree that people did eventually get COVID as time went on because they were more susceptible because they complied right away, and therefore their body wasn't naturally prepared to handle it?
Sure, I can agree with that.
Ooh,
I,
ooh.
I mean,
Maybe I should be a doctor.
why not? I got a spot for you here.
All right, I'm in. Oh, I'll
You could
shake. I'll shake.
you could do.
You will get in trouble. The badges will show up for me not wearing a mask if I come work there.
That's okay because you know what? I actually have patients who are in leadership positions. They absolutely refuse to wear a mask when they come here, no matter what.
Good for them. Good for them. It's. I can't believe it's a fight we're still fighting, especially with the science coming out
What it is,
the opposite.
we've lost our freedom in this country. We've lost our
Hmm.
freedom of speech. We've lost our freedom of we've lost everything.
Yep.
It's very sad. We've lost so much. I mean, the world today is completely different in the United States than it was 15 years ago.
Hmm. I feel so bad for my kids. I have, an 8, 5, and a 2-year-old, 3 little kids, and I think about the stuff that I have to explain to them as children, because they ask, why does everyone else still wear masks? Why didn't we go to school for a little bit? Why are boys dressing like girls? And I'm like, these are not things that we should be discussing. We should still be talking about what your favorite TV show is and what your favorite color is. And it's absolute madness, and it's an upside down world having to raise children in it too and explain some of these ridiculous, medical things that have been happening for the last 2 years. So I know you have an opinion on the gender affirmation thing.
I do, I do. You know, um, okay. Put on your seatbelt.
I woke up this morning ready for this, trust me.
So here I am. I'm a physician of 35 years. I think by most standards, I'm a good practicing physician who also uses common sense and thinks outside the box. I have disagreed with nothing you've said so far. So, my theory on gender identity, first of all, wherever you fall on this topic, it should never be discussed, perhaps before college or graduate levels psychopathology or something like that. Yes, when you're in 4 years old or 8 years old, you should be worried about your baseball mitt, your wiffle ball bat, your baseball cards, your doll, your Barbie. Not if Barbie thinks he's a boy, but just your real Barbie and stuff like that. So here's the bottom line, okay? If a person is born with an XY chromosome, they are by definition a male, okay? It doesn't take a Supreme Court justice denying this fact to make my statement true. So if you are born with an X and a Y, and we're going to say that 99.9% of the population is either XX or XY, and maybe there's a very, very small group that have XXY or XO, different disease states. But for the 99% or more, you're born with an XY, you have, am I allowed to say any words I want?
Pretty
Male
much,
genitalia.
yeah.
Okay, you're
you
born.
Could say, I say Peter and penis and wiener and
all
the
right.
things.
So if you're born with stuff, a package, and if you have an XY, you're a man, okay? If you choose to go to a plastic surgeon to have your package removed, you're a man without a package. Now,
correct.
If you feel in your head that you're still not a man, then that would be called a delusion, which is a false, unshakable belief of a non-truth. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So now you have a delusional personality disorder, which classifies you in the DSM as having probably psychosis. So, in the DSM-4, it's highly classified as psychiatric. In the DSM-5, it's no longer psychiatric. I'm sorry. Packages are packages, genes are genes, and if you believe that you have the wrong set, then you have a delusion, and it's very simple. It is a psychiatric condition, and we
are coddling to it.
And that's the problem. Why is it that everybody who's in the minority, who has an opinion that's different than the mainstream, why do they all need a parade? Tell me that.
Yep.
Everyone needs a parade.
Yeah.
The rest of us are
the
working.
First straight parade, like ever. The first straight parade. Hey, I'm just a heterosexual female with kids. The American Dream Parade.
Heterosexual female with kids parade. No, you're working. You don't have time for a parade. It's these people who, these other people must have a parade so they're noticed and recognized, so then they can go to the government, say, look, we're minorities, we need extra money. Can you give us another bowl of free cereal, a phone and a hot dog, and vote for us again?
Yep. I made a video about this entire topic on Instagram, and I unapologetically agree that to be a male and believe you can be a female and vice versa it's a mental disorder. It's a mental issue. And
absolutely.
We now have school systems allowing boys to use the little girls' room in elementary schools because, quote, his gender identity is female. And I said, since when does an entire school coddle to, one child with a mental disorder? If he had, what's the thing where you have to do things repeatedly? I can't think of it.
Tourette's.
Yeah, if he felt like every day to go to school, I need the lights in the entire school to go off and on 5 times. Would the school do it?
Oh, OCD.
If he had schizophrenia and he said, listen, I'm afraid someone's going to come after me. I need cameras on in every classroom, on every corner of the hallway. Would the school do it? These are mental issues that the school does not cater to. And yet with this one specifically, it's an issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's an
I
issue
don't even
that
know what to
hurts
say,
other
but
people.
you said it so correct. You said it so correct. I have nothing to add.
Is there going to be... Thank you. Boy, I love hearing that, especially from a
No, but you're
man.
right. You're completely right. You're 100% right.
Is this what's this going to
Listen,
do to other kids? I, like my children, I'm shielding them as much as I can from
hey,
this. Someday, my son is going to see a boy, and he's going to know it's a boy because we're smart, dressed as a girl, and I'm going to have to explain it somehow. Psychologically, these kids are being exposed to it.
as you're well aware, children are very impressionable. To expose children to this topic at all is insanity on the part of the
Mm-hmm.
politician. There's always the headline, there's always the backstory. The headline is that it's allowed in school. I want to know what the backstory is. What nut job has allowed this to happen, and what's his real motivation? I mean, seriously, that's really what I'm wondering, because anybody who can think knows that if you're born a dog, you're not a cat, and if you're born a cat,
Mm-hmm.
you're not a dog. So if we all agree with this, minus the few people that write the protocol that say we're wrong, I want to know what the backstory, what's the back angle? I mean, seriously, what somebody
Yeah,
needs to
what
tell me.
could be the motivation for this?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
legit question. Who would
yeah.
want this? Who would want this kind of chaos for children, for children watching it, for the drama and
Well,
the heartache and the pain that it causes a family and parents dealing with it? What would be
you
the
know,
purpose?
so if your child came to you at 5 years old and he told you, Mommy, I think I'm a girl, not a boy. Um, I think the first thing I would do is take him to a therapist, and find out what's wrong and where did you
Hmm.
get this feeling and why did you blah blah blah. Not embrace it. I mean,
Right.
too young, still growing up, have a mind that can grow. It's like any other, like somebody who does drugs when they're in high school. If they don't grow out of it, eventually they got to see a therapist and get off of it because it's going to ruin their life.
Right. Well,
And why do you want to? Why subject yourself to these things anyway?
no, I think that there's a huge lack of God in American homes, first of all, and that does not help if it's not the foundational problem. But my 5-year-old boy, he's 8 now. When he was 5, he saw how we kind of doted on the princess, his 3-year-old sister, and her tutus and her glitter, and it was fun. And he said multiple times, "Mommy, I wish I was a girl." And I thought, oh my gosh, this is a liberal's dream, right? Like, oh, I can't wait to start him on hormones, you know? And I was like, okay, how do we tackle this? And so I asked him the questions, why do you want to be a girl? Turns out he just loved that, like, she got to dress up and everyone thought it was cute. She was getting attention. So it's like my job as a parent was to say, yeah, but here's what we love about you. And here's what God did for you. And here's why you were born the way you were born, because you have a role as the man of this house to look after your mommy and to grow up and be protector. And like, this is my job as a parent to talk him out of these 5-year-old thoughts, right? And you've got parents now who are so into this movement for whatever reason that they don't talk them out of it. They don't talk sense into them. And they think that this 5-year-old can actually say, I want to be a girl. And that means that he truly wants to be a girl. He's 8 now. He hasn't said, I wish I were a girl in 3 years. And in fact, he started to take on his little masculine tendencies and be the protector of the house and things like that. And I think, wow, a very different parent would have this kid already on hormone blockers. Like, it's our job as parents, and it's our job to instill in them their true identity in Christ and their true identity as they're born biologically and scientifically.
Well said.
Thank you. I'm only
Very
here to just impress you.
well. You're doing a good job. Next time I have a show, I'm going to have you on.
Thanks.
I don't have a show though.
I know you don't. You're like, I'm going to refer this to Lindsay, my partner.
No, but you are so correct. First of all, think about all the bad press that high school wrestlers get for using steroids. They're banned.
Mm.
So why is it okay for a 5-year-old to get hormone blockers? Why shouldn't that be banned?
Right.
You can spin this
Excellent
so
point.
many ways, but the truth is, common sense is far from common anymore. The greatest generation was great, but they're not here anymore. So now maybe we have the worst generation. I don't know what's wrong, but the world is spinning sideways, backwards, upside down, and people have some mighty weird thoughts in their head. I mean, we could even throw in gun violence. There's no
Mm-hmm.
gun violence. There's violence of people. If you take away their gun, they're going to
Right.
drive their car through a crowd of people. I have a gun. I never shot anybody. You have a gun. You never
Right.
shot anybody. Everyone has a gun. They never shot anybody. But the guy who does shoot, who's crazy, he shoots everybody. So he's
Right.
crazy. You know,
And
um,
now it's the gun's
like,
fault. Now it's gun control
of
issue.
course, right. But we could agree on every one of these topics. There's a sector of the population that seems to be about 50% that just doesn't get doesn't get it. The common
Right.
sense is just missing. This
And
is not
I
an educational thing. Look at all the people at these Ivy League, palaces. You know, Harvard took loan money and they have $50 billion in endowments. If you're dumb enough to want to go to that school, they should pay for you to go. I'm serious.
yeah.
I'm proud
Well,
to have been the dumbest kid in the world and not go to an Ivy League school. I'm just
you didn't go
average
to
and
yeah, I
normal.
got your whole thing here. You didn't go to Ivy League.
No,
I say you
no.
turned out pretty well. You're not indoctrinated.
I got poison ivy.
But I will say this, and I think you need to hear this. It's important to have doctors like you speaking out because even when you say, if a kid thinks that he's the wrong gender or she's the wrong gender, take him to a therapist. And my little red alarms go off, and I think, oh my gosh, therapists are actually, some of them are contributing to the problem because they're woke and they're feeding into this and they're prescribing these medications. But we need you. We need doctors like you who say, look, no coddling here. No emotional decisions here. Science is science, right? They've been saying trust the science for 2 years. And then when the science tells them the truth, they don't like it. We need doctors like you speaking out against the madness and
So here's the
everything
problem.
else.
So here's the problem.
You're
I've had
silenced.
I've had two patients who have these issues, and if I make any statement to what I believe is reality, they go off the deep end. So
Mm-hmm.
if you go off the deep end and you don't like me, why do you keep coming back?
Mm-hmm.
So the cover of all the magazines, New England Journal of Medicine, Journal of American Medical Association, all the big journals, the highlight for the last 6 months, how can you properly treat transgender people? Well, I'd like to know why we aren't treating non-transgender people correct yet.
Right.
Why are we
Well, and
coddling to such a minority when we can't do things right for the majority?
mm-hmm. And your treatment, according to you as a medical doctor, would be this person has a mental illness. Well, you know that the
Yes.
first thing you're going to do is say, I need to refer you to a psychiatrist, and they're going to lose their mind.
Yes.
I'm not
Correct.
mentally
Yeah.
incapable.
And then they
You're
get
a
angry.
homophobic.
They get very, absolutely. You're homophobic, you're xenophobic, you're misogynist, you're everything that they want you to be.
Mm-hmm.
They synthesize information that sounds bad and they broadcast it about you.
Has this been done to you? Have you been canceled publicly? Have there been
Yeah.
yeah?
Yes. Yeah. I've
And
done other podcasts.
are you censored on, I don't even know if you have
No,
Facebook, Instagram,
so right now my Facebook is shut down to the 5,000 people that want to know about my book. Right now, one of my Instagrams is shut down, and a handful of podcasts that I've done, they got warnings from YouTube that, if I said China virus, that's an insult. My comeback was, I'm from Corona, Queens. Does that mean that the virus is from Corona, Queens? Seriously, this is crazy.
Dr. Soloway, are you going to get my podcast canceled? Is this like a death sentence having you on?
Well,
I'm going
you
to
know
change
where I
your
am,
name.
so I guess you'll have to come and beat me with a stick or
I will
something.
see you at Trump Tower on October 27th. I'm coming after you.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
That's right. Okay, so tell me about the Trumps. You're close with them.
They're
Did
wonderful
you
people.
serve? Yeah.
Yeah, I had
You,
I had an appointment for the Presidential Council for sports fitness and nutrition. Um,
oh, awesome.
but the Trumps are, I like to say that President Trump, he's larger than life. He'll
Hmm.
go down as like the Time magazine man of the century.
Wow.
Um, he's one of these truly, I mean, there are certain people that kind of transcend everything. Like if you live in Seattle, Ichiro transcends Seattle. The baseball player, the Japanese guy,
Hmm.
he set every record in baseball starting at age 27. I mean, Michael Jordan, he transcends whatever.
Right.
Donald Trump, he transcends everything. Whether you love him or you don't love him, the man knows
Hmm.
how to live life. He's a brilliant guy. I mean, I'm not going to compare myself because he's the president and I'm a doctor, and he's a successful businessman and I'm still just a doctor. But I do see similarities. We're both highly motivated people who work extremely hard. Um, he gets his relaxation golfing, I get my relaxation swimming. Um, but such a
You,
pleasure to be around.
Dr. Soloway, you transcend the medical community.
I'll wear
Look at
that.
him. He's like, I don't.
No, I'll wear that.
You should wear that. I appreciate your voice.
You like the way it
So
sounds?
I appreciate what you're saying more than anything. But yes, you have a great podcast voice. Too bad you're so silenced. So, what's the new book about? Bad medicine. You know,
So
it
the
was bad
first book,
medicine more exposing
so
the
well, let me tell you,
healthcare.
it's very interesting. I don't know if you're familiar with a book called House of God by Samuel Shem, written in
No.
1969. He wrote about his experience as a first year trainee at Mass General at Harvard. And this is back in the 60s when women weren't doctors. So now that book is on 2 million releases and everyone thinks he's a misogynist. However, there were no women to talk about back then. So the
Right.
beginning of my first book is my version of House of God. It was what I saw for medical school and training in the VA in London and Boston and all these places that I traveled to get different experiences. So it's a true rendition of what went on. And of course, I write about the stuff that, would make your toes curl, like somebody getting dropped on the floor from the operating table because the surgeon thinks she's too fat. I've seen it.
Oh my gosh.
People operating drunk, people punching each other like in the neck across the open spine of somebody getting a laminectomy. The stuff I've seen is wild. People coming into an emergency room with an unknown object in their hand, and the object is their stomach. It came through the
Oh my
skin.
gosh.
Yeah, people
Okay, I got to
eating
read
a
this
set
book.
of people eating a set of fork, knife, spoon, keys, broken glass. I mean, total psych case. But you got to cut them open, fillet them open, take out all this stuff. So I've seen a lot of stuff, and it's in the book. Now, I put in a
Wow.
chapter for 4 or 5 diseases: lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and gout, some common stuff. Well, the next book is really a matter of, hey, this is what it's like to be a doctor. We're being attacked from everybody. And if I want to get patients the proper medicine, I have to get into either a legal battle, hire an advisor, or spend an hour between patients making phone calls and text messages and emails just to get people the right treatment. And I would tell you that the
Mm.
way I have my practice model set up to be an all-inclusive compound where you can get your blood, your x-ray, your medicine, etc., my rate of compliance is so good that my hospitalization rate is so low. I'm saving the system probably more money than anybody, and I'm the guy that was audited for quote, lying because nobody can figure out how I can be a well-oiled machine and do X amount of injections in X amount of time. Well, if you have 100 tables and 100 needles, it'll take you 100 seconds to do all that. And if
Right.
you're well-oiled and you know what you're doing and you've done it for a long time, it's not hard to do. But
So
I
they don't
get
like it though.
persecuted. I'm persecuted
Mhm.
over it, not complimented for hard work and saving people, extra trips and this and that.
They don't like it because you're not feeding the healthcare system. Because if you weren't a well-oiled machine and you weren't doing all these things in office, they would have to go to different places to get all these things, and it would cost them more money and put more money into the healthcare system, right?
100%.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was like in my 20s.
Are you
Went to
serious? Wait,
yeah.
why aren't you coming here?
Listen, I said in my 20s. That was a long time ago.
No, what do you mean?
I'm
That
going
was
to tell
10 years
you.
ago. That was 10 years
Oh,
ago.
stop it. It was a joke because I went there with one symptom. I got referred by my doctor to an arthritic specialist. He asked me, "Do you have this, 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 this?" I only answered yes to one of the questions. He said, "Well, it sounds like you have rheumatoid arthritis. We're going to give you a prescription for this medication. You'll have to take it every day." I said, "Okay, every day for how long?" "Well, for the rest of your life if you have arthritis." "Okay. And it's really hard on your liver, by the way. So you're going to have to cut back your drinking." Remember, I just said I was in my 20s. I'm like, nope,
Oh,
that ain't
God.
going to happen. And sure enough, I just went home and I was like, yeah, I didn't answer yes to very many of those questions. I don't think I'm about to take a pill the rest of my life, starting in my 20s, that's going to destroy my liver. So I didn't do it. I completely ignored him. I never followed up. And whatever the symptom was, it went away. And I was like, wow. I mean, he was ready to put me on a pill that would ruin my liver the rest of my life. So
And
that's why
obviously
I'm
you
not coming
didn't,
to see you. I don't actually have
but
rheumatoid arthritis.
obviously the guy was wrong or
Yep.
incompetent. So I like to
And
say to some people, are you dumb or incompetent? It's got to be one or the other.
maybe add greedy, right? Why did a medical doctor send me to a specialist? So I paid for that appointment, paid for all that. And then that person prescribed me medicine, which I would have to pay for the rest of my life. I
You
just,
know,
left
you're
how many
you're
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
you're so spot on. Well, the way it works over at my end is I see people who complain that they had to wait 4 hours to see me, but they called yesterday, and when I meet them, for 10 years they've had pain and they went to 50 doctors, 40 hospitals, 30 surgeons, 20 other people in
Mhm.
my field, and in 5 minutes I tell them what's wrong and they don't believe me. I'm like, why'd you come? I heard you were good. Who referred you? All my friends. So why are you doubting what I'm saying?
Right.
So then they get over it, they get better, and now I tell them, I say, look, did you waste a day here or did you waste the last 5, 10, 20 years? And they've all
Yep.
agreed. I've wasted the last 5, 10, 20 years.
Hmm.
And by the
So
way, if you're not in trouble, I don't want to see you in follow-up. I'm wasting your time and I don't want your copay.
you're so good. Oh my gosh. Why aren't you in Arizona? I could fly
You
to you.
didn't, because you did not invite me.
I should have. I understand you're a very busy man though.
Yes,
Not
I'm busy doing things. Why can't I visit Arizona as a thing?
That's true. Next time you're in Arizona, we're gonna have you in studio.
Love it. I would love it.
Okay. I love
Get
it
me the
too.
details. I'll be there.
Okay. So did you read my email about my cheers? Did you read that by chance? About having a cheers at the end of the episode? I feel
Oh,
like all of your
cheers?
assistants, yeah, your like assistants, I think, read your emails, right? I've been dealing with your whole team for like a few weeks.
Yes. Do I
At
need to
the end of
bring them
every
in?
episode, yeah, we cheers. It doesn't have to be alcohol. I know you're at work. He's all excited. I've got a
I
peach
need you all
iced
to
tea
come in
as
for your cheers.
my go-to.
Okay, the staff's coming for cheers. By the
Oh, the
way,
whole staff. This is so cool.
did you we only have one woke person in the building, so don't worry, we're great. By the way, did you like the show so far?
With you?
Yeah.
Yes. You're
Love
incredible.
it.
Like
Love it.
incredible. Yeah. I
I got,
I actually know people in New Jersey, so if I can spread the word about your practice, I will.
you have to read the first book.
I am going to now. I like really gross medical stuff, actually. President Trump's Fitness Council. See, that's where you got me. President Trump's Fitness Council. I said,
Oh,
book it.
wait, hold on. I'm going to show off. I had pancreatic cancer in 2018, okay?
Okay.
But
Had. What's the key word?
after my recovery, I immediately went back to swimming, and here's a picture of me in really good shape swimming. Right?
Where is he?
No. There it is.
Oh my gosh, look at you. Oh, you're buff. I still look the same. Cute, same smile.
Hold on. Now here's the cancer version.
Oh, wow.
In fact, on the side, that's me in the Philly Marathon.
Oh my gosh, and that's after cancer?
The swimming was after cancer. The marathon was 15 years before.
Attaboy.
I work like a dog. I got to get the swim in before or after work, no matter what time work ends or starts.
That's right. That's good. That's therapeutic. You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, really. You're not kidding. Nobody's out there to help us. We got to watch out for ourselves. I always said to my uncle, and it's in here, is Solowayism number 1. Watch out for number 1, but don't step in number 2.
Oh, I'm going to make that your cheers. Seriously.
This was so much fun.
Dr. Soloway, at the end of the episode, we do a cheers, and your cheers becomes like your quote of the episode. So you got to think through what you really want your cheers to be. Cheers to watching out for your number 1, but don't step in your number 2.
Yeah.
Nope, something new, something else. Because that's already going to be your quote.
Cheers to seeing a rheumatologist before you ever see an orthopedic surgeon.
Okay, I love it. Do you have a cocktail or a mocktail? Thank you. He's a character. Are you cheersing with us, Zeke? You can cut this out. I'm just being
okay.
Oh, so, the good stuff. Holy hardcore. Is that champagne?
This is a bottle of red wine from Amarone from Italy. It's a 2016, and this is a Scotch or a bourbon.
Single barrel. Yep.
Yeah, single malt Scotch.
Love
so
it.
look, I want you to know they're not opened because we're waiting for you to come celebrate in New Jersey with me.
Okay, deal. I love red wine. Love it. Dude, and I got to get a copy of that thing.
Of course.
So awesome.
You're a woman who can have whatever you like. You just have to ask.
Thank you. If you tell me no, I'll go for it anyway.
Okay.
Dr. Soloway, tell people where they can buy your book so that we can get that promoted and get these awesome viewers reading it.
If you want to get the book signed by me, either one, because the other one isn't out yet, but the first one, you call Carlene, my assistant, and her direct line is 856-794-1548, 1548. And you simply call her, and she'll write down your name, and I'll personalize it to you, and I'll mail it to you. If you don't want it signed, then you got to go, I guess, on Amazon or BarnesandNobles.com or something like that. Oh, here come the cheers people. I hear them coming in. I don't know why they're all wearing masks. We're not seeing patients, guys. What's that?
Oh, it's cute. It's so cute. They all get to be included.
By the way, this here is Denise, my personal medical assistant of 25 plus years, and she is my co-author. She's my co-author on the book, the next book.
I was going to say, she's probably got the real juicy details.
Oh, her details are very juicy. And she only goes one way. The right way. She knows she's a woman.
Atta girl.
Okay, so here you got more. Oh, this is Carlene over here on the side there.
Yeah, we already met.
Yeah, but so Carlene's the one you call for the book, and I signed it for
Carlene, I'm
you.
calling you for a signed copy.
Did you see that? I want that sweatshirt.
They got your direct. Oh, I want a sweatshirt too. Can I have a sweatshirt?
No, it's for
Yeah.
It's a hoodie.
Like a
Oh.
Patriot Barbie sweatshirt?
I'll pretend I'm a woman for the Patriot Barbie sweatshirt.
Totally. No one will question your mental health at all.
Well, they do all the time, but just not about that.
All right, ladies, cheers.
Here, Doc, take your
Thank you for helping the best doctor in America.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming on, Stephen. I appreciate it.
That was whiskey, and I got to go see patients now.
That's all right. It'll be more fun.
You've been a pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in to the Patriot Barbie Podcast. Follow me on Truth Social at The Patriot Barbie and Instagram at the.patriot.barbie. Subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with your friends. You can find this show, my book Targeted, and my apparel line on www.patriotbarbie.com. God bless America, and God bless you.
It's Dillon's KC Barbecue at 4 Valley locations. Our sports bar in Arrowhead is packed with TVs for the ultimate sports fan. Our Wildlife World Zoo location will have you on the edge of your seat, dining right next to our 60,000-gallon shark tank. Dillon's Bayou at Pleasant Harbor has never-ending sunsets, beautiful people, and live music every weekend. And our newest location, Western Trails Ranch, is 12 acres of rodeo fun and live outdoor concerts for the entire family. It's Dillon's KC Barbecue, where we're elite, unique, and memorable.